Obviously, we're coming off a bye week, so there's not a whole lot to talk about the last one. Um, but bye weeks are always unique, and for more than anything, I always tell them it's not like you get healthy over a bye week, but you do have a chance to get a little bit healthy in some different ways. And so it was great for our players, and even for some of the coaches. I know they're on the road recruiting a lot of times in a bye week, but for our players to kind of get out of here a little bit on Friday, Saturday, and then get back in here later on Sunday. So I hope they took advantage of it. It looks like they did, as they come back with a little bit of freshness and ready to take a run at this thing. About a midpoint of the season. So, I don't want them to walk back in here like I told them and said, think you're going to feel perfect. Like, oh, this is like the beginning of the year. This is like the beginning of fall camp. That's not going to be the case. But more than anything, your mind kind of gets an opportunity to relax over a weekend, as long as you don't watch a whole lot of football and your mind starts to race watching some of the craziness of Saturdays. But I know for me, for for a lot of our coaches, and for sure for the guys, it was a good little at least break to get away from each other, kind of refocus and have an opportunity to whether it's visit and be with some family and things like that, but then roll back in here and know we got a stretch ahead of us.
Chad Brendel, Bearcat Journal.
I forgot who you were.
It's been a while.
I know.
I wanted to remind you.
You didn't show up to any practices over the break, but that's okay. Let's go.
Did it feel like this was sometimes it maybe the bye week's too early, sometimes maybe it feels like you're never going to get there, being right in the middle? Did that feel kind of ideal?
I mean, I guess if you could put it any place, if you had your pick, you would say it'd be best to be in the middle, but you never know based on your season. There's times early in the season you wish you had one. There's times later in the season you wish you had one. So I think for us, yes, it did come, I think, at a pretty good time, and a time when a break probably was needed, and maybe some of those guys with a little bit of nicks and bruises, and the way the last game went. Hopefully the timing was right for us to get back. But there's a momentum shift in things too as you're rolling through a season. So there's never exact right time, but I think if you could pick it, you'd choose it in the middle, and I think it was good for us.
In terms of guys getting healthy, Ben and Tyler specifically went out in that USF game. Any update on how they're doing?
No, I mean, obviously Ben has been able to get back. I think some of the concussion protocol type of stuff, but you don't hit a quarterback anyway. So I think that you've got some uniqueness there, and Tyler's still a guy that we're hoping throughout the rest of this week will continue to get better and better and be able to play. Like I said, you want those guys to be at their best in order to play, and the uniqueness that we've got is we have a more depth that you don't want to put a guy out there that's not going to be able to play and perform at the best of his ability. So we'll see as we continue to push along, but we don't have anything as of yet.
I believe you're 4-1 coming out of the bye. Research. Is there anything
high level?
Is there anything specific, a method you guys follow, a path you guys follow?
No, I think we've tried to put a plan in place way before time, and I think that's so that you don't try to adjust based on where you are. Obviously you got to adapt a little bit, but if you come off a bad week, all of a sudden you say you're going to change up everything, you're going to keep everybody here for the whole week, you're going to practice 5 times, you're going to go full pads, and I think that would be a little bit impulsive. So we put a plan in place before the season. If we have to improvise and adapt a little bit, we do. But the idea is to get some good work, but also to get a little bit of time to kind of relax, free your minds, and get back in here with a nice fresh start to, in this case, the second half of the season.
If I may look back to move forward, bear with me. You had a season-low penalties and season-low penalty yards last game. Do you hope that maybe is that growth and that maturity that you're looking for?
We continue to talk about it. There's no doubt. I think that I don't know that there's but then watching this weekend, so there was a lot of penalties in some of those bigger games as well. So I think we're all kind of preaching the same things. It was one of the real positives I think from the last game from 2 weeks ago that we did have much fewer penalties, and I think we played a little bit more disciplined. There's a lot of things we can do a lot better as well. But I think that's a combination of what we're doing. That's something we emphasized over the break here and through the bye week, and we'll see how we've grown, and not just in this coming week, but really in the second half of the season.
New coach at SMU. What have you seen maybe that they do differently this season than they have?
Well, we have played him, so he was the offensive coordinator there a few years ago. In a lot of ways, there's some similarities to what they've done. I think it's a group offensively that's going to be very similar in what they have been, and I mean that with an up-tempo, throwing the football. Obviously, the quarterback is a really good football player, and I think that more than anything, they want to put the ball in his hands, let him kind of run the show and control the offense. But I don't know exactly what I would say. That we haven't studied last year's film as much just because of the new coaching staff. But I think that all those things kind of add up. But there's more similarities I think there are than differences, and I'm sure the university knew that when they were hiring somebody because they had done a really good job and they had some really good pieces in place already.
As a guy that thinks defense first, what does your mind think when you see a guy like Tanner Mordecai, who's supposed to be a pocket passer, running 75 yards for a touchdown?
I mean, just because a guy throws the ball really well, everybody assumes he's just a pocket passer and he doesn't run the football. But I think that's, where I think he can be really sneaky on. He can run. And, I think we've seen that in the past. And maybe, for somebody that I would say I won't call you the lay person, but, for the normal fan that might not realize a guy can run unless he goes 75 yards. I mean, a guy that goes 15 or 20 yards, a guy that goes 6 yards into the end zone, you gotta respect them with the ability to run the football. And I think that probably a little bit more eyes are open because he went 70 or 75 yards last week. But the last time we played him, I felt like he was a very capable runner, and he picks and chooses the times to do it. But in a big play and a big time in the situations that he's got a lot of ability to make some things happen with his feet as well.
Corey Kiner also missed the USF game. Do you just have any update on him heading into?
He should be fine. He should be fine. It wasn't anything major. Obviously, it was one of those things that just probably held him out for that week. But he's been back in practice, and hopefully won't have any setbacks.
The recent success against SMU, I know it's a new group. Is there anything different that you guys are trying to do this week? Because it's being at the helm.
No, I think more than anything, we've got to recognize we're on the road, and road games in league are really, really difficult. And, I think the score can be misleading. If you look at it from 2 years ago there, it was a battle, and it was a hard-fought game. And in the fourth quarter, it went a little bit lopsided. We obviously they turned the ball over, and we had a big, long 80-yard run or something by the quarterback or whatever it was. And so the score may look a little bit lopsided, but then 2 years before that, we had an overtime game against them. So it's been a battle the last 2 times we've been there. We got to make sure we understand that, we recognize that, and then we always are talking about the environments that we're going to walk into, and so I think that's important for us. And we're talking about the maturity of our team is to understand what kind of environment you're going to walk into.
Maybe not the same as what Arkansas or USF did, but they had some success running ball with quarterbacks. Is there anything you noticed that was off in terms of defensively things to do?
No, I don't. I don't think there's any one in particular thing that we've got to do better. It's more, just the little things, the fundamentals of things, and then be able to adjust. At week 1, we probably knew a lot more that the guy was going to run the football and just did an okay job against the run with him. I think South Florida, not say we didn't expect him to run the ball. In only one game had he really run the ball for 15, 16 times, and that was the Florida game, which was the game they were best in. And it turned a little bit more into that, and we just got to do a better job at making some of those adjustments and adapting. And I think that they'll run the ball. He'll run the ball this week as well. Maybe different. Most of his are pulls out over the edge, but as you saw, a touchdown on a scramble. Might have only been 18 yards. I know you don't think that a guy, just because he went 18 yards, can run. I guess he's got to go 75 to recognize that he can run. But the 18-yard run for a touchdown was, in my mind, more impressive than the 75-yard run. But I think that's always the thing that I think good offenses have an opportunity to do.
Third down on both sides of the ball the past couple games, probably not where you would want it to be. Is there anything you saw over the bye week, some self-scouting maybe?
It's hard to just pinpoint one thing because as we've studied that's what you do over the bye week. I think offensively it's a little bit simpler sometimes to pinpoint when you say, okay, when you're in third and long, you're not as good. When you're in third and short and third and medium, you're better. So what's that mean? I mean, be better on first down in reality. Defensively, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. We're better on third and medium, and we're not real good on third and long, and we're a lot better on third and extra long. So it's hard to pinpoint one exact thing, but that was definitely a focus for both offense and defense, over the break.
Joe and then Justin.
You mentioned, Coach, talking about road games and environments that you're walking into. As your program has ascended to conference championships now back-to-back years, and you've taken your profile up even higher, have you noticed best shot, tougher environment, teams coming after you because of the profile you now have?
Well, I mean, I do think, obviously, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we went to when we were on the road, obviously, at Tulsa, we knew it was going to be like that. We hadn't been there since we were here. We obviously canceled a game there. I think in general on the road, when you have won the league, I think you are. I mean, everybody takes their shots at the champs, and so we've obviously put ourselves in a position to take some of those shots. Basically all we say is we're not sneaking up on anybody. After year 2 and year 3, I think we still had an opportunity to sneak up on people. Maybe people didn't believe we were, as good as we were, and they probably didn't do as much studying heavy in the off season. Where, maybe I know for us when we weren't the champs of the league, when we were still, trying to find our way and still scratch and claw, we were always studying the guys who were the best, and whether it was in our league or outside of our league. We continue to do the same thing, but I don't know. Maybe in some of your off-season studies, that you do as much of that, and I can't say that everybody does that for us. I think there are some natural rivalries that we've created in the last few years. I know that 2 years ago when we went there, it was a much tougher game than maybe what the score looks like. And 2 years before that, when we went there, it was an overtime game. With them being a new coach, I think in the league, I think everybody, I'm sure they look at it in a similar way. But, if you're playing the guys who are the returning champs, I think it does add a little something to you.
In that same sense, is it tough to not couple the back-to-back road games together? Do you have to remind guys not to look ahead to the second one at all?
Yeah, I don't think our guys do look ahead of things. I just think that we're young enough that the moment is still really big for us. And I think us handling and focusing on the moment is where we got to continue to grow. We know we feel more comfortably at home. You walk out there, it's electric. You got everybody behind you. You got that student section that's unique. And I think on the road, it's always a little bit different. And, I don't know that, not that you have everybody behind you, not that it's, crazy and they're going to be, after you and booing you, but sometimes it's not quite as electric, and you've got to be able to manage whatever the situation's going to be, and I think that's what we've got to be able to do.
To piggyback on kind of being the hunted, Zach Taylor talked Sunday about the Bengals getting a lot of stuff from opponents that wasn't on tape. So preparing for a team and then the team doing something else. How much of that have you guys seen, and how difficult does that make game planning, knowing they're probably going to throw stuff at us we have no idea?
I don't know that we get a ton of things that we haven't expected. And I think that in some ways is, maybe you lost a lot of players, so they're not envisioning that, like, hey, this is a team that's, maybe like it was last year. Like, okay, we got to change up some things because, they believe you're this good. I think that, I don't know that we've seen as much of that this year. I think you always get some new things and some different things, but I wouldn't go out on a limb to say we've gotten so many different things this year because of, winning the league the last 2. I don't think that's the case. Again, what was South Florida a little bit different in the quarterback running the football, and they hadn't done that. You could say maybe they came in there with that philosophy because, we were the, reigning champs. I probably would also say that, they've evolved and they were in the game more, that allowed them to run the quarterback more, where in the games before that they, probably had gotten down really big early and they needed to throw the ball a little bit more. So I wouldn't put us on some level where we think that we're getting a lot of different things. I think we've just got to, be able to make some of those adjustments and adapt, in a game where, because everybody's going to have some things a little bit different.
Some of the advanced stats on your offensive line are really good in terms of, like, yards before contact and rushing and stuff like that. With Jake going out early, and I know maybe first couple of weeks the run game wasn't where you wanted it to be, what have you seen these last couple in terms of improvement?
I think consistency. I think that now those guys have been consistent enough to work together for 5-6 weeks, where even in fall camp we were still kind of figure out what the 5 was going to be, and had Jake in there, then you were moving other guys around. So I think that in that position in particular, the consistency and the ability to work together is so incredibly important. And so I hope and believe that that's what we've seen through the first 6 weeks of the season, those guys continuing to work together, be consistent in what we're doing, and we also figure out what we do well. And I think so that adds to it as well. I don't study those stats that you got there, but I know just from watching it that I feel like our guys are in a much better place and have done a really good job continuing to grow at the offensive line in particular.
One more, if I may, Coach. Desmond Ridder comes back this Sunday to Cincinnati. The Falcons are here. I am curious, as he's gone on to the NFL, and even the other guys, do you still stay in contact with those guys throughout the week? Do you send them text messages just to see how they're doing? How does that relationship work when they leave here?
Yeah, not on a consistent basis. As they go to camp and things like that. I think that more than anything, you got the utmost respect that what they're doing, and I'm sure they feel the same way. And if after your Sunday, sometimes you see something, Myjai Sanders gets his first sack, a lot of times you would shoot him a message, and Kobe Bryant and some of those things. But it's kind of hard to stay on top of all those things. And the nice thing is last year we've got a few more that are actually playing, so it would probably take up a lot more time. But we love it when they come back, and some of that off-season stuff, and then the preseason stuff as well. But that doesn't mean we're not following them, and I can promise you that. I think that we all take pride in seeing what those guys do. We might not get to watch, but I can promise you part of my routine is every Sunday night, as you lay in bed there at 11 o'clock, I go through the stats of all the guys that just to see where they are, see who was in, who got an opportunity to play, and you wish I could tell you that I sent a message to every single one of them, but my message wouldn't be congrats. It would be thank you more than anything. I thought we were done.
Thoughts on Sauce wearing a cheese head around Lambeau Field?
I didn't get to see that. I know this. Whatever he does, it's in good humor, and it's nothing disrespectful. I don't know how it was taken or anything like that, but it doesn't surprise me. But I know that there was probably no disrespect meant, and if there was, I don't know what at all has come out of it. But I'm just happy to see those guys, having fun doing what they're doing, and obviously having some success. No, there's not. Okay. Oh.
Ty, Coach talked about guys kind of getting healthy and nursing any injuries over the bye. Do you feel like you personally were able to do that, and maybe what have you seen from some of your teammates in that regard?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I had any big injuries or anything, but definitely nice to have a week to kind of really focus on your body and get your body right. And, there's a bunch of guys on the team. As 6 weeks into the season, you get some nicks and bruises, so it's good for those guys to also be able to heal up a little bit.
You have your best week of the season and then the bye. Is that frustrated a little bit? Like, hey, I'm wanting to keep going.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep the momentum going, but it's just definitely not taking the bye week off. Some people think we may just sit on our hands during bye week, but no, we're still out there practicing. So I'm still not slowing down and working on what I do.
How much does it feel like this defense is still evolving, still adjusting to all the new pieces and parts? After so many guys move on, does it feel like it's still growing?
Yeah, I think, the team, the defense, every week we're ever changing. We see something new. We're put in different situations, and we really find out who we are. And we got a lot of new guys in different spots at defense, so definitely just finding a way and working together.
Now that you've had a couple of years where you've played quite a bit, do you feel like scouting gets easier, especially in conference against teams that you've played before?
Yeah, for the most part, you definitely know and have an idea about what a team is going to bring to the table or what's their overall general schemes. But, every year they have new guys, new transfers or whatnot, so you still got to scout just like before,
Did Fick put Pony Boy to rest finally for good, and has it transferred to Jonathan Thompson?
I like to think so. I don't know if that one will transfer till I'm gone. He doesn't want any confusion on who's who, but yeah, hopefully we don't hear that nickname anymore.
How fun is that relationship with him, because you guys are from the same high school? Does it kind of give you an extra little connection?
Yeah, it definitely has an extra little connections that we've had, but it's nice having a great relationship with him, comfortable. He's able to coach me up. I'm able to come to him with questions, and it's just nice to have that relationship.
And tell us about Jonathan Thompson, because he's obviously a young guy, but felt like in camp every time he got a chance, he was flashing and making plays.
Yeah, he's a good ball player. I think next coming couple years, you'll probably be hearing his name soon. But yeah, he's going to be one of the next guys up for sure. I think Ivan he took on the neck roll the second half of the game, so I might have me and Ivan out there now with the neck roll. So one at a time.
Speaking of Ivan, he was just named first team All-American by The Athletic. Just talk about what that relationship has been like with you playing next to him.
Yeah, I mean, I love to have a guy like Ivan on your team, and especially to play next to him. So, I mean, it's a great advantage to us as a team, and a great advantage to me to have a ball player, someone that can make plays like he does right beside me.
I know on the road, coaches like the noon road games. You can get up, play, and then get out of there. What about from a player perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I personally like noon games. You're not waiting around in a hotel room all day waiting for it. But, yeah, and this one's going to be particularly early, 11 a.m. kick. And so, yeah, we're going to get up and play ball, so I'm ready for it.
Is it challenging to bring that full motivation for a kick time that early, or does it take a little while to kind of maybe get in the flow?
It's definitely a new challenge. We're not used to 11 a.m. a lot. But it's just we're focused on that routine this whole week and make sure we're getting up early and ready to rock and roll as soon as we get in here.
Any questions for Ty? Thanks, boss.
Awesome.
Great,
Thank
you're
you.
up, buddy. Questions for senior wide receiver Trey Tucker?
Oh man, it's been a while. Okay.
Trey, leading the team in receptions to the halfway point of the season. How do you feel like the first half is gone, and what do you think you can do to take it up even another notch in the second half?
I think the first half is going great. Obviously, like our offense is loaded. Myself, Tyler, Josh, Lenny. So, I'm just grateful. That Ben looks over there, and I just got to make him right whatever I'm doing. So, definitely cool. But like I said, we got a loaded offense. So if maybe one game I get a target, maybe the next game I get 6. I'm grateful either way.
We've talked a lot about the depth at wide receiver. You have a game, Tyler goes out, Jaden and Chris went down for a little bit. Does it feel seamless if it's Nick or younger guys, Drew Donnelly, popping in when those guys go out?
No, and it shouldn't. Like that's the one thing that I talked about. Before the season, the depth that we've had at receiver. You can just plug guys out there. Now, obviously, you want your guys out there. It's just a little different when I don't see Tyler out there jogging. I can't say a joke to him, So I got to make sure it's business, And it's always business with him, but you know what I mean. But yeah, those guys are ready. They stepped up. How about Blue's first catch since my freshman year? He had 2019. I remember it was at Marshall, and just to see how far he's came and just to see his his turnaround is crazy, and I'm excited for him to go on the rest of the season. And yeah, so each one of those guys are plugged in, and I think you'll be seeing Drew down here soon too.
How do you personally approach a bye week, and then how do you, as one of the leaders of this team, make sure that they don't take their foot off the pedal?
Yeah, it's tough, man. You got a bye week, and especially you got people dinged up and stuff like that. So it's easy just to say let's just take it off, let's just rest, But that's not how you get better. You gotta to Coach Fick always says in this game you have to play it to get better. You know, like you can do all of the classroom study and all this, but like you actually have to go out there and get the rep. You know, so that's the biggest thing. Just understanding, like, we might not practice every day, but when we're out there, you got to go. Like, you got to do what you got to do. You know, whether you're out there for 50 reps, whether you're out there for 10. If you're out there for 10, you make sure you go those 10 reps. So I think that's kind of the approach I took, you know, being an older guy and obviously a leader. You know, I probably wasn't going to be out there a ton, but when I was out there, you know, I was giving everything that I had on those reps, so that way, you know, I can look at the end of the day and say I got better.
The bye week can be a good chance for self-scouting. Did you do anything, whether it was you specifically or the wide receiver room in general, in terms of looking back at how this season's gone so far with you guys?
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like I actually watched the game film too many times. Like, I could tell you, like, exactly what's coming next play based off the numbers, and the plays aren't, like, in there. So, yeah, you know what I mean? And the thing I like really when I go back, obviously I do, I'm hard on myself. You know, I want to make sure, like, I want to see, like, how did I do that? How could I do that better? But the thing I love most is going back and looking at guys who were in the game that I didn't get to see. You know, I'm out there with you, or, you know, I'm on the sideline, I'm looking at something else, you know, but I actually get to go back in the film and watch, like, oh, wow, that was a nice route by Blue. Like, I didn't even see that, you know what I mean? So I do that a few times, or, you know, and I look at Tyler and be like, oh, man, like, I might need to steal that little move, whatever it was, because I'm not out there. You know, normally we're out there together, but, yeah, that's just kind of what I do. I go over and look, and then sometimes when I'm, like, extremely bored, and, I mean, I didn't already watch film of us, like, 5 times, I'll go look at the defense. You know, I'm like, all right, I want to see this play-by-play, even though I'm over there watching, you know, on the sideline, but that's what I'll do.
Anybody on defense jump out at you?
Definitely. I mean, it's different. Those guys fly around, man, and, you know, they just hit. But one thing that really impressed me, like, this past game, it was I think their quarterback almost broke a long run, and I just saw Ty just fly, and then I saw Eric Phillips, and I'm like, oh my goodness, man, like, you know, you see it in practice, you know, because that's what we teach, you know, you 4 to 6, A to B, but, like, just to see it in the game setting was cool.
You mentioned going back and watching plays. How many times did you watch Jaden's touchdown? And has he stopped talking about it yet?
Man, I'm so happy for him. I don't know if he stopped talking about it yet. I think it pops up every day somehow. You know what I mean? He just he kind of reminds us, like, yeah, like, you know, I did that, which is good for him, man. He's a heck of a player. And, you know, I honestly, I don't think that could have been the most fitting first touchdown there is. You know what I mean? You make about 5 guys miss. Like, that'll forever be in stone. So, yeah, I mean, I still watch it because, you know, at the end, I mean, I was tired. I mean, we were going tempo, and somehow I just jumped on his back, and I just remember telling him, like, I'm sorry, man. I couldn't get a block for you. I was too tired, but, hey, you know, he just made them all miss. So, crazy play.
Ask Coach Fick about this, but with 2 back-to-back road trips coming up, is it hard to, like, not look ahead at all and maybe couple those 2 road trips together, or do you just take it the first one before worrying about the second one?
I think the good thing about that is, like, you have 2 good road games right back to back. So I don't think it's like, well, we play this team next week, or like, yeah, we play this team this week and that team. Like, you got 2 back to back. You know what I mean? So I don't think we can get caught slipping into next week because we have to get this week done. You know, and I like that. You know, honestly, because, you know, I think that happens everywhere, not just here. You know, you look down the road and like, oh well, you know what I mean? They're doing pretty well. Obviously, you know, you have a bye week, so you watch some of the teams and you see them and stuff like that. So I don't think we'll get caught slipping about that. You know, we know that SMU is a really good team. You know, we played them here last year on our senior day, and it went really well for us. And I'm pretty sure that they have us targeted. I don't know if it's their homecoming guy, but I heard something like that. And so I know they're going to come out firing. You know, they just got to win last week versus Navy, so it'll be a good game.
Big touchdown for AP on Sunday. Thoughts on that?
It was funny because immediately I got a text from Michael Young about that. He was like, AP doing AP things. Like, what happened? So I immediately rushed to my phone and I go look, and it looked just like what he did here at Cincinnati. You know, AP doing AP things. You know, he's just a freak, and it still just doesn't feel real. Seeing all of those guys doing what they're doing at the next level, man, it just brings much hope to a lot of guys here as well. But it's cool.
Sauce on the cheesehead. Thoughts?
Man, I saw that and I was like, dang, man, Josiah plays over there. Like, you know what I mean? Like how does that feel? And I'm like, you know what, man, it's the NFL, man. He had a heck of a game, and, you know, he's just being himself. So, you know, that you can't complain about that. You know, obviously I feel a little bad for Josiah. I don't know if they exchanged jerseys or not. I mean, but he put the cheese head on at their field, man. That's tough, but good win for them. I want to. I want to say I want to steal his moves, but I mean, it's funny because he's always been shifty like that. Like myself and like a Tyler. Like Tyler's pretty shifty too, but like, it's just kind of hard to like you get in open space like that because you don't you rep it in practice, but that's not something you rep because we're not tackling all the time. So, that's just something like you got to have and it's a skill. But I do want to before I leave, that's one of my checklists. To make a few guys do what he did and score a touchdown with it. It's not the same if you do it and you get tackled. So that's definitely one of my goals for sure.